Hey, before we get to the new metal albums, YouTube just gave us an update that says we can now monetize our videos even if we swear during the first 7 seconds. So, shit, goddamn motherfucking cunt. Let's see, shall we? Welcome, metalheads. I'm the host of Heavy Metal Philosophy and writer for Metal Digest, JonBarbas. Make sure you stick around to the end of the episode for this week's album art of the week. It's the weekend. That means we got new metal albums, and I'm bringing you my 5 favorite. But before we do the top 5, we always talk about the big album releases of the week, so let's get it. All right, first up, and I debated if I was going to do this one or not because is it metal? Is it hard rock? I'm not sure. I've definitely done some edge cases before in the past. However, I'm going to go ahead and include this one because of her excellent cover of Perry Mason she did at Back to the Beginning. Big time respect for Hailstorm and her new album, Everest. And this one, I also debated on if I should include this one or not. It's definitely a part of metal history. I just didn't like it. But they named one of their singles I Complain on r/Metalcore, which got a chuckle out of me, Attack 2. And I promise, the last controversial one of the week, but they are a big metal band, Baby Metal, and their new record, Metal Fourth. I don't care if y'all don't like it. I had a fun time when I saw it. And next up, we've got a very German-sounding record from Lord of the Lost, Opus Noir, Volume 1. And lastly, before we do the top 5, there's a new record from the synthwave/metalcore group Dreamwake called The Lost Years. Now let's do the top 5. Coming in at number 5, Malthusian with the Summoning Bell, death metal out of Ireland. And as soon as this one hit my inbox, it immediately caught my attention because Malthusian is a philosophy that comes from the philosopher Malthus, who was famous for saying that eventually population would outpace our ability to produce food. It's quite a controversial philosophy now, considering how much the population has grown since his time, and we still are wasting a lot of food. However, when it comes to the music, very cavernous and murky death metal, it sounds so far away that there's almost no discernible attack or decay. The guitars just seem to be around you all the time. Contrastly, the drums are quite snappy and upfront, which keeps everything from sounding cacophonous. This is exactly the way I like my death metal. Heavy, ominous, and unapologetic. Coming in at number 4, Paralysis, Spiral of Suffering, crossover thrash out of New Jersey. And I like this because it's got that old school thrash feel, but it doesn't sound dated. Nice and punchy, nice and heavy, quite pissed off. It's not about drinking. It's got scathing social commentary and riffs for days. Coming in at number 3, Sensum. Text is on the screen just in case. And as always, every band's Bandcamp links will be in the description so that these albums are easy to find. This one's called In Devastation, and these guys are an international groove metal band. When you think of groove metal, maybe you think about Devil Driver. Maybe you think about Machine Head. And yes, both of those on this one, but then put in a healthy dose of black metal and Slipknot. And yeah, that sounds weird when I describe it that way, but that's what it sounds like. It sounds awesome. Coming in at number 2, Theian with All Under Heaven. And this is multiple black metal musicians from all over the USA coming together to create a death doom band. And what do you get when you get black metal musicians making death doom? Well, you get that low rumble that the genre is known for, with a menacing bite and a surprising amount of goth. You know, death metal is pretty comfortable with death, obviously, but this sounds like taking a moonlit stroll through a graveyard while you're wearing a leather jacket and sunglasses at night. It's just so cool and groovy. Rock and roll beats kind of give the Death Doom riffs a lot more movement and confidence than what I'm used to from the genre, you could just as easily headbang to this as you could lean against the wall and snap in your fingers. And hey, before we do number one, I got some good news. September 22nd, the fall will be here and I can't wait. I know you Yankees love the summertime, but I live in the South and I hate it. The devil came down to Georgia and said, whew, y'all stay safe. It's like living in an oven with mosquitoes and I am suffering every single day. I hate the summertime. The only good thing is I wear tank tops every single day. They're my absolute favorite. And speaking of tank tops, the summer collection in the Heavy Metal Philosophy merch store goes away on September 22nd when glorious fall comes. You will no longer be able to get the summer designs, so make sure you head over to JonBarbas-shop.fourthwall.com, links in the description, and get you some of this summertime merch while you still can. Now let's do number one. Coming in at number one, Black Braid. With Black Braid 3, black metal out of the Adirondack Mountains in New York State. And I love this record for multiple reasons, but one of the big ones is all of American black metal bands in the past, they just tried to sound like their Scandinavian heroes, but after the turn of the millennium, we started to get some American black metal bands that have their own sound. And I love this because black metal is basically extreme folk music of those Scandinavian cultures. And so it stands to reason American black metal bands should incorporate their own culture and their own folk music and develop their own sound. We've got Panopticon, we've got Wolves in the Throne Room, we've got Wayfarer, but one big thing was missing. We were missing the voices of the indigenous, and Black Braid brought us that. But he did more than just play tremolo picking and play a couple of native instruments over it. If he would have done that, yeah, cool gimmick. But he doesn't do that. These are great songs with occasional indigenous instruments. It's not, look at me, I'm doing indigenous music. No, it's where it's supposed to be. The good songs first, nice and heavy. It doesn't sound frigid like the Scandinavians. It sounds dense, lush, and reverent. And I'm also quite pleased that it's not a bunch of Satan worship. Not that I don't love good songs about the devil, but we've got plenty of that over the years. It's nice to get some songs about something more organic and meaningful. And that's why Black Braid, number one. All right, the dealer's choice section. Longtime subscribers know that this is where I'm allowed to break my own rules. I always only do full albums, but here I can pick EPs. I always do metal, but here I can do non-metal. And this one is certainly an edge case. Lots of times I've heard something really heavy and I thought, that's pretty heavy, but there's no guitars. Can it possibly be metal without guitar? I feel like you kind of have to have a guitar for it to be metal, but here we have a split from Velour and Cares called Breathless Spirit. And there's no guitar, but it gets quite heavy at times. Now, you can cheat a little bit. There's violin, there's cello, it's distorted, it's, extreme vocals, lots of harshness, lots of beautiful cinematic, clean stuff too, but that just makes the heavy parts even more nasty and unsettling. So if you want to imagine the sounds of surviving some sort of horrific ordeal, this might be the soundtrack you're looking for. And my favorite album art this week comes from Melpamine with A Body is a Suggestion, instrumental progressive metal out of Minnesota. And check out this album art. I love it when the art matches the theme of the record. And here you have a body that's made of only limbs, but prominently there's something there that represents the heart. Then you've got some sort of sigil off beside the head. Meanwhile, there's some sort of weirdness going on in the head. What is that? It must have some sort of statement about the brain, and then the hands of the body are reaching out to a smaller individual who is over a chasm of some sort of abyss or hole or whatever. By the way, their hands are bloody and they're making this little hand gesture. So much is going on, so much to analyze. I love the color scheme. This is great album art. It made me want to listen to the record, and when I did, I was quite pleased with how different this instrumental sounds. It's not just a bunch of shredding, it is heavy, but it's also got a bunch of unique melodies, so it's the total package. Make sure you check this one out. Hey, have you ever heard a death metal band incorporate AC/DC riffs and fun rock and roll into their brutal death metal? If you haven't, you should check out my podcast this week where I talk to the death metal band Based. If you want to check that out, just click right here. But most importantly, read philosophy, listen to metal. I love you. Black Blade.